Greetings. Greetings. Did you hear me? I said greetings and welcome to Conversations with Tony Mobley. We are excited to have Michael Forrest back with us on Conversation with Tony Mobley. It is 1 a.m. for him, and so we want to thank him so much for being here with us today. Today is June 3rd, 2026. This is the 210th episode of Conversation with Tony Mobley. 5 years of conversations. This conversation uses the TV broadcast software Mimo Live, and we use Zoom. And you can also watch us on conversationswithtonymobley.com. We have an interactive chat where you are able to, it's called Mukana, and you can get your questions voted up or down. And so we are going to, let me just also share this with you. In the YouTube chat, there should be a QR code that will allow you to access Mukana. But if you choose not to use Mukana, well, you can go ahead and ask your questions in the YouTube chat. But we are going to get started right now with our very first question. And Michael has been on before. And so we're not going to go into that whole typical storyline, but we do want to have an update from the last time that he was on. So the very first question is, please give us an update on your travels since the last time you were on Conversations with Tony Mobley. Hello,
Thanks,
Michael.
Tony. Oh, hello. Thanks for having me on again. What have I been up to since I was last on? I've just been programming very severely, like a lot of programming, and also like since we last went, we also went to China. Took a 2-year-old to China. That was an adventure as well. But yeah, I've just been. It's just my life is building CueCam and then maybe finding some time for Video Pencil and other bits and bobs. So just enjoying Edinburgh, We've been here sort of 2.5 years now, and it's just when I step outside the house, there is a babbling stream, and then you walk 5 minutes and you're in the city, and it's just a great place to be. So yeah, just trying to find time to do that once in a while, but don't get my head up from writing code all day long.
So how long have you been in Scotland?
Yeah, about 2.5 years now. So
Okay.
I've
Okay.
well, yeah, maybe a bit longer. Yeah, so basically, our toddler was born. Yeah, he was born about 3 months after we moved here, or 2 months after. So he's a little Scottish boy.
Okay. All right. So QCAM Presenter has been updated. Please share what is new.
This is in some ways one of the biggest changes to QCam ever, but also so 3.3. It's not like 4.0. It went from 3.2 to 3.3. But that was basically 9, 10 months solid, intense work where I just rebuilt everything from the ground up, the whole rendering engine. So everything you're seeing now, the colors, the transitions, all of the way the connections and everything works inside QCam are just correct. So because QCam sort of evolved from a lot of different ideas, which I sort of and it was starting to feel like it was held together with hot glue and string, and I got to a point where I was like, to fix these last bugs and to really take it forwards into the future, I've got to like step back and actually like see if I can find a way to do this properly. So I sort of changed thousands and thousands of lines of code to try and make it look the same, but like just a little bit more correct. The colors are right, the transitions are right, and all those things. But now it's just this base on which I can build a lot more stuff on. And sort of besides the just the sort of like that kind of rendering and that experience, I sort of gave it a new installation process. So like when you first come to it, it's going to guide you through a lot more kind of delightfully, I think, and kind of help you through a lot more than it used to. So just really bringing it to kind of the level that it needs to be to be moving forwards. I'd say. And then a couple new features even since even since then. So now we've got PDF import, we've got some handy like new live streaming features that have come out in 3.4. So yeah, it's been mostly yeah, that kind of like infrastructure internal. So in a way, not something that you would hope to notice too much, except in terms of, right, it's not a bit weird anymore.
Okay. And so before we go to the next question, I just want to say to anyone who is watching on YouTube, this is a great opportunity to ask Michael some questions about QCAM Presenter, about Shoot, about Video Pencil. If you have any questions about his infrastructure and the things that he has done, and also like me, if you've been playing around with it, I've been playing around with it for years, and I am always excited. This is a shift in the way in which presentations can be done, and you have access to the developer. This is an opportunity that you don't want to miss. So please ask your questions. We're only going to be here for an hour, and I'm excited for Michael to continue to share what's going on. And stay tuned. He has some special things that he's going to announce before we end our conversation tonight. And so he's going into his bag of tricks right now. The next question is QCAM is built around the idea that most people overcomplicate video communication. What what's the single biggest mistake you see presenters making on Zoom or live streams, and how does QCAM solve it?
I think the biggest thing is disappearing into the corner or off screen as a presenter, ending up here, and then you're sort of showing that's kind of filled with nothing. And you've got some. So my biggest bugbear with online presentations is screen share takes over. Someone shares some bullet point slides that weren't really made for a video call, and then they sort of leave it on bullet point one, and they're in that little corner on Zoom, and we're just like we're not really communicating anymore. I'm hearing this disembodied voice, and so the whole idea behind QCam is to immerse you in your presentation so that when you are talking and showing what your expertise is and teaching people, that you stay on camera. And the first, so it's really it's that thing of not being on camera and not looking at the camera as well. So it's sort of QCam's built around the teleprompter, really. Built around being able to kind of like see, sort of instead of built around, I'm going to build a slide deck. It's built around what am I going to say, what's my script, and then embellishing that with things that you want to show, but never at the cost of you being able to fully express yourself on camera and you being sort of the center of what people are experiencing.
Okay. And so I'm getting ready, because this is conversation with Tony Mobley. I'm getting ready to throw a little bit of a wrench in our conversation tonight, Michael. I want to share that the house of worship that I'm working with, we use PowerPoint for the entire worship service, and we, like probably other people who are using PowerPoint, we're just using a screen share. And when we
Mm.
use that screen share, what we find is that a person who is watching in the Zoom virtual meeting, they become a very small square, and then the PowerPoint takes over the entire screen. And so that is, it's problematic for me. It may not be for other people, but it's problematic for me because I think you ought to be able to see the person alongside the slide, with it not just being almost like a stamp. So can you share some ideas on how we might be able to get past that?
Yeah, so QCam is really built around that. Is around So the first thing it's going to do is if you shared, let's say so I'm gonna I sort of you can export a PDF and bring that into CueCam. So one thing you can do is if you did bring in a slide, um, it's going to put you picture in picture. I'm not going to show you a slide. I'm going to show you a, I don't know. I always keep bringing back this ichthyosaur. It's going to sort of when you're sharing something, it can put you like this, right, by default. So that when you're showing something, I see that my screen share is being shown. So I'm wondering when that's going to happen. So two things that CueCam does for you. It keeps you in front of the content, so you get this face cam. It also makes it
Mhm.
very easy to move the content out of the way. So this is sort of like all about reducing the friction and stopping you disappearing off screen. But if we're talking about more of a standard, and if we do have the screen share, if we are talking about more of a standard sort of presentation where maybe we do have like a a heading and then sort of bullet one, and I'm sort of hoping that that you're seeing this right. It's going to sort of make it easy for you to build stuff around you, around yourself. So instead of so really it's sort of it will either kind of put you split screen like this, or it will sort of just put you over the top of it. But it's generally going to keep you where you need to be. And sort of this is sort of this is my way of kind of showing content in a way that always kind of makes space for you as well, and then you can sort of like customize that and make and sort of make different changes to that to however you like it. But so instead of building a deck, we're kind of putting together. So this is like my CueCam 3.4, for instance, sort of release notes. I just put together a deck like this with my script, the things I'm going to say, and then like little video clips that can play. But all the time, the way I'm using that is to keep myself on screen as much as possible. But yeah, it's a different type of tool, right, to other presentation tools. So on the one hand, yeah, you can sort of export out your PowerPoint and sort of put slides up and sort of have yourself over the top of them. But really, what I prefer to do is sort of use the cue cards in CueCam to figure out what I'm saying and make that the driver and be able to confidently say the words I'm going to say. And then if I'm going to bring in some text, it's not going to be very much text. And if I'm going to put something on screen, it's going to have impact and it's going to be sort of there in the middle. So yeah, if that answers, yeah, I just think it gets you away from PowerPoint is for either making documents to email people, right, which should have loads of words on them, and it's like people use it as a publishing software, or it's for like a room where you're presenting on a projector or a TV or something in a room where you're in the room as well, right, or on the stage. And the mistake people make is thinking that you can use that technology to in a on a webcam in a video situation because it's just the wrong tool for the job. And even Keynote with all of
So
its nice sort
I'm
of
going to
yeah,
interrupt
go
you
on.
from this standpoint. So I understand exactly what you're saying. The dilemma that I have is that there are a very few members of the team, the media team for the House of Worship, right? So they are used to doing PowerPoint, right? So this is going to mean if they were to shift from the PowerPoint to doing what you just shared, going to be the learning curve? Because that's the issue.
Hmm. So something I've recently done to kind of ease that learning curve is if you do just want to export a PDF from PowerPoint, you can just pull that into CueCam and it will just be a sequence of slides in CueCam, but you'll be picture in picture and you'll sort of get that stuff for free. Which I don't feel it doesn't feel quite as sort of native to video to me to have sort of slides slides like that, but that's kind of that is something I added in CueCam 3.4. It made it much easier to sort of bring in different slides into a script. But that it's something. It is a different way of approaching things, and it's something that does have to be embraced. So if you if but for me, the key is that instead of having to figure out your OBS or your Mimo Live and have a team and have sort of someone kind of like talking, having to sort of have sort of build up your own AV setup, it's kind of giving you that AV setup without you having to really do very much, and you can just focus on that content and maybe learning how to sort of make that content more native to video with the sort of features that CueCam gives you. But yeah, anything, obviously, new things that are new are going to be, there's always going to be a bit of a learning curve. But I'm sort of interested, I'm always interested in talking to people that are trying to use it in different situations and just finding out exactly what are you trying to get out of the PowerPoint? Because I often find that you
I,
don't
I can
need nearly as much
I
as
can
you're putting
answer
up
that.
there. Right?
I
Yeah.
can answer that. So the way in which the House of Worship PowerPoints work is that everything is pretty much on a PowerPoint. The beginning of the service, welcome to the service, um, the offering, prayer, testimonies, the introduction of the speaker. Everything is on a PowerPoint slide, right? And this is the problem that I was having. I was a little bit frustrated, and the media team listening probably will be getting on me after our conversation. I was a little bit frustrated with it, and so what I was doing, I was using my ATEM, and I would come in the virtual Zoom meeting with the ATEM, select the computer that had the PowerPoint on it, and then I would press the ATEM mini button that was showing the PowerPoint. And then instead of screen sharing, what I would do is spotlight the PowerPoint, and I would spotlight the person who was speaking. So I had two up, both the PowerPoint and the individual who's speaking working. The part of the dilemma was that for us, there is a lot of text, particularly when we're referencing different scriptures, and it's too small for people, even in the Zoom meeting, to see. So my spotlighting it, I thought would solve that, which to a certain extent it did. But because of the configuration with Zoom and with the ATEM, I didn't realize for months that the text would be blurry because in the Zoom settings, I had portrait on. So if it was side by side, even if it's side by side, it was kind of okay. But when it was just text, and it was really really blurry. And so I'm really trying to find a way in which we can actually have people who are praying or reading scripture as large, as the PowerPoint. So that's what I've been dealing with, over the last, couple of years, really. And I'm just
Yeah.
trying to find a solution that is, economically feasible to improve the quality.
Well, you've spotlighted a couple of things there. Is however simple the tool is, that gets the video in. If you sort of have that portrait thing turned on in Zoom, then it's sort of like it's going to ruin it. So you sort of got to figure out how to move that stuff up the chain, and you do probably ultimately have to have someone that has that idea of what that video pipeline is going to be. But I think I've said this to you before. Like I don't see CueCam as being a really a good fit for that. I've created this for people presenting on a webcam, usually sort of individuals, someone that's sort of doing things solo like me, where I can sort of set up my teleprompter, create my script, come on and be able to sort of make videos and sort of do live streams, come on podcasts and things like that. Um, but like if I was to look at the church situation that you have, I'd probably have a very different piece of software in mind. Like the same way that I built EasyVJ before I sort of started CueCam was oh, I want to do live streams with music. I want to put sort of three or four cameras around me, play some music, and not have to think about that switching and things like that. So it's solving a different problem. Maybe have some graphics and some sound reactive visuals and things like that that kind of makes sense. Maybe some Twitch chat integration, all those things that make sense for that. Whereas for what you're talking about, a church service that would be a different design, right? So the difference between CueCam and something like Mimo Live is Mimo Live is a general purpose broadcasting tool, right? It's something that you can customize to sort of do the thing that you want to do, but you sort of have to speak the language of broadcasting. What CueCam is doing and what Video Pencil and the apps I create is I'm looking at a sort of like higher, I'm designing for a more specific problem so that I can take away all of that configuration from you. You don't have to figure out how to set up the ATEM and do this and that and the other in order to be able to speak on camera, to be able to draw on camera, to be able to bring a picture up on camera in a Zoom call. I have solved all those problems so that you don't have to figure out 67 different OBS scenes or like a Mimo Live layer sets or all of that sort of broadcasting stuff and also try and control that somehow, right? I've sort of solved that problem for this particular use case. Whereas I think what you're talking about is a different use case. And if it was me, I would come to that with a different mindset and say, okay, what are the problems we want? What's the simplest piece of software that I can give you that will solve that problem? And in a way, the fact that I've just spent this last year rebuilding my video rendering system, it's in CueCam, but now it lives in Shoot. Well, I'm putting it into Shoot. I'm putting it into Video Pencil, and like it's opened up so many possibilities for new bespoke tools like this, like that maybe a church broadcasting, assistant that kind of solves the problems that you have in your house of worship, which are different problems to the problems of I'm a solo presenter. I haven't got time to kind of spend a lot of time making videos, right? So they're different things.
You have answered the question, and so what I'm going to say, just based on our conversation these fast of a few minutes, I'm going to say that now I understand this to be possibly a great tool for us to use for our Bible study.
Okay.
On
Yeah.
So we do it on Thursday night, and actually now I'm seeing, after everything you've just shared, that this will probably be a great tool for us to try to use on our Thursday nights. And so thank you so much for sharing that. And we're going to go. We have a question from Hershid. He says, long time no see. How are you, and any accessibility updates? LOL. Much love to you, brother.
I thank you for asking about accessibility. Honestly, like for me, accessibility is is good habits. Is just trying to make sure that I'm going with the grain of how Mac OS works, so that I'm not kind of like undermining your ability to kind of use whatever accessibility features you need. How well am I tagging and labeling everything in my user interface? It's hard to know. I would need someone to kind of like tell me, like, is this terrible? Are there some areas I
Be
should look
be
at?
be careful. Be
Because,
careful what
yeah,
you
yeah.
be careful what you ask
Well,
for, because we have a number of friends who will definitely respond to that. So I'm
yeah,
looking forward to see what they share with you.
yeah, it's a thing of like there's trying to get it to work, and that is not a simple thing with this software. I am doing an awful lot of very scary technology. There's a lot of layers in here that have taken me a long time to kind of learn and even and build on. But where the accessibility stuff lives, I hope it's okay. But yeah, like I would love someone to kind of like sit, go through their experience of using it with me and sort of show me where the weak points are. And I think the only way is really, I'm not an expert at using a screen reader, for example. So I wouldn't really probably have a good experience either way.
We want to thank Hershid for that great question. Thank you so much, Hershid, for that great question. Our next question is: you describe QCam as a building presentations for your webcam, not a projector. Can you unpack what the distinction means and why it matters for online communication?
So when you see Steve Jobs giving a keynote on a big stage, his screen is enormous, it's behind him, he's got a big word, and he's sort of like walking back and forward along the stage. And when you see a video of that, there's a camera on that. But I don't know if you've noticed, but even when people try to show footage of in-person presentations using PowerPoint, it's always a bit awkward. They try and do like a split screen, or they'll, something like an Apple one, they can have a film crew and they can be cutting to different angles all the way through. But in most situations, if you've maybe just got one camera in the room or two cameras, it's a very poor viewing experience for anyone that's not in that room. Um, so I think yeah, and the same, that experience, the keynote and the PowerPoint use case is I am turning up with my laptop into a meeting room. Where's the HDMI? I'm going to plug that in, and I'm going to show my content on the TV, and I'm going to be here with you. When you're on remote video, um, once you start sharing your screen and trying to do the same thing, you get that effect that we've talked about a couple of times already, I think, which is where you disappear off into the corner. But we have video here, we have audio and video, we have all the power of TV at our fingertips. Because we're going out in this little controlled box, we can sort of like control what's going in there. And if we think differently about what we're putting on screen from that sort of corporate PowerPoint deck approach to, okay, if I want to share some bullet points, I'm going to put them here, but I'm not going anywhere. They're just going to appear from my left, from over here. If I'm sharing something, an image is going to take over the whole screen, but I'm still going to be there. Maybe there's different ways you want to arrange that. I've got some ways that I like, that I've seen, that I think work best. But we start to embrace that it's video and actually create more of a sort of TV style experience. And again, you couldn't read a teleprompter like well, unless again you have a very big Apple style stage, or you're sort of like a politician with those sort of teleprompter things that kind of come down. You're going to have to just like learn what you're saying, or so you're sort of half reading it off the slides, or you're kind of half looking at the speaker notes on the laptop. What we have the power to do when we're in a room and we have, like, I've got my Elgato prompter over here, I can put the words I need to say. I don't have to learn my whole script in order to be able to deliver something very confidently and very clearly, and sort of like really with refined and honed language. And so it's more like a live TV broadcast. It's more like the news than like a keynote. And I think trying to use the tool that is for the keynote to run the news, or to, is a very different thing. But then also CueCam is simplifying and distilling all of that stuff that usually comes from a control room and a big team into just you on your own, sort of controlling it with one button. So I think hopefully that's a pretty clear distinction. It's very clear to me. And again, it's design using the right tool for the right job, designing for the medium, and something that has been designed for a different medium isn't quite going to fit into the new medium that it's applied to.
Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. That I really hadn't been wrestling with that question, and you made it very clear. So thank you so much for that. Our next question is, QCam lets users share anything on their webcam and use an iPhone as a camera, teleprompter, and an extra screen. For someone doing panel interviews or ministry content, how would that workflow?
I would say, I mean, the nice thing is, if any of your panel members that have QCam installed are able to then express themselves a lot more clearly, they have the power to, write something. They have the power to bring up some imagery immediately without kind of asking for permissions and things like that. So I think it's really, I wouldn't use it to run to record the podcast, the panel thing. That's a different tool. But if any of those individual people on the call, I have these Zoom calls where all of us have got QCam, and it's just it reduces so much friction, because we can sort of be showing something on the screen. We can, I can, maybe someone shares, if someone shares a link, and I can be sort of just casually, I can sort of bring it up, but I can also put it into sort of a side mode, and people can see that that they can see that I'm sort of having a look at the thing they just sent me, but I'm still here. And so it's just this really, and I can sort of bring it up and say, oh, what about this thing? So it's sort of like the individual members of a call like that. That have a lot more ability to communicate what they want to say clearly. So unlike a sort of like shared digital whiteboard, it's more like each of us are bringing a little bit more to our own individual cameras. But of course, it doesn't need everyone to have it. But if you're sort of leading it, then it's really useful for you to have the ability to bring all this and sort of create your run of show as well. This is another sort of the origins of CueCam were around. I was doing podcast interviews and sort of like conversations, and I had like my different sort of elements of the show, different segments, and it was quite a headache to kind of like manage that all on my own. So QCam lets me just like come up with those like the bookends and the like music breaks. I like things like that, like little video clips. It lets you be very prepared for things like that, especially if you're leading them in a way that I don't. I wouldn't have known how to how to do until I created QCam. Like, just you feel a lot more prepared, and you can sort of feel a lot more in control and focus a lot more on listening to people and having a real conversation in the room without kind of sacrificing that sort of polish and having a little bit extra.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Michael. I also want to let everyone know that Michael does another YouTube show almost every. Is it almost every Wednesday or is it twice a month?
It's every other Wednesday. It's every other Wednesday. It used to be every
And that's
Wednesday, but I got a bit much.
okay. And so it's 11:30 a.m. for me.
It's well, it'll be 11 o'clock, I guess, or 12. I don't know what your time zone. Yeah, it's
I think it.
it's
I think
5 p.m. UK time generally. So whatever that works out at.
so. I'm
So
going
it's
to
sort of
say
in the morning US.
that's
Yeah,
12 for me, and so
12.
I
Okay.
think you're 5 hours ahead of me. So 11 o'clock we're going to say, or 12, depending on the
Daylight saving
time,
time.
the daylight saving time. And so please reach out if you have additional questions about what Michael is sharing tonight. You can also can go to Squares TV. Squares TV is another place, and he has tons of videos on how to use QCam Presenter, how to use the Shoot app, how to use Video Pencil, and he continues to share the updates. This is an amazing person who has not only shared his product, but he is available for. He wants you to engage with him so that he can continue to make the product better. And that's a fantastic opportunity for those of you who are interested in upping your game on your presentations. And so we're going to go to the next question. Um, you built QCam as a solo developer. What drove you to solve a particular problem, and what did you originally picture as your ideal user?
Um, I guess the original impetus came from I had my webcam app Shoot. I People really liked that you could draw on that webcam. Someone asked on office hours, "Oh, can I draw on something else?" I said, "Yeah, okay." I made Video Pencil, and then that sort of opened up this question of, well, okay, I need to be able to get things to draw on, right? I need to be able to sort of like share different things and figure out how I'm going to organize that and what I'm going to be able to do. So I made it work with things like Ecamm and OBS. But I wasn't totally happy with the experience for people with that. So I sort of had to go, can I make my own virtual camera? And then it was just so alive with possibilities that I just couldn't stop. Like there was so many ideas, so many things that were possible once I had this kind of like virtual camera and like video pencil connection, just to be able to sort of draw on whatever I'm draw on you draw on all sorts of different things on the iPad and be able to share them on the Mac. So it really it really came from just how many ideas came from that. So my ideal user is really someone who doesn't want to have to deal with someone who doesn't want to have to go on $1,000 Ecamm Live course, right? Ecamm Academy, just to be able to like share a picture here and there, just to be able to sort of have a picture in picture, just to be able to sort of share their keynote on their webcam. People that have seen that there is something more that can be done on these video calls beyond just vanilla, phone camera. But I don't, but once they sort of see, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to learn so much stuff. And this software, especially OBS, is so horribly designed and hard to use. And that I wanted to make those possibilities available to people who weren't experts in video so that they could share the things that they are experts in. So that's really it. Like let sort of take away all of that video stuff, solve all of those problems so that you can just focus on content and like being yourself on camera and being confident and being able to kind of say what you want to say without anything getting in the way. That's really the point of it.
Very cool. And so I want to ask a question about. I am one of those people who has an Apple Pencil, and I also use this other
Yeah.
stylus. Can you talk about some other stylus that might be useful for people to use with Video Pencil and with CueCam? Um, can you talk about other things that might be useful? If somebody doesn't want to buy an Apple Pencil and they don't want to use their
Oh.
finger, what kind of other stylus might they use?
I mean, honestly, like if you want something that works with an iPad, it's probably going to have to be either an Apple. Yeah, I mean, I'm not the right person. I used to when I first got my when I had my first iPad, I had you could get these pens with like a sort of transparent thing, but like it was a sharp pencil. I used to draw with that, but then you it would not do palm rejection, so you'd keep smearing through. And then I had a friend who had this like special glove that he put his hat on his hand so that he could sort of rest his hand on the iPad. And then Apple solved all of these problems with the Apple Pencil. So I've just been using used.
Okay.
I just got like a cheap. It's not, I think it's worth it just to get a used Apple Pencil to do it with. And then it's a question of can you improve the experience by? I mean, I do have the sort of paper style overlay on my iPad screen to make it a bit less slippery to draw. But you can also get, I saw someone else asked me this the other week and I was like, I don't know. But I looked at the website that makes films, but they also make styluses that feel a bit more pencil like as well. But honestly, like, I tried a lot of stuff over the years, but the Apple Pencil was such an improvement over all of them, and I think that's because of the way that they can do clever things to sort of make sure that when you rest your hand on it, it doesn't like interfere with your drawing and things like that. So yeah, I would just say like just get a used Apple Pencil rather than trying to find something else.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I just want to say to those people who are watching or who will watch the rebroadcast, listen, if you work in a house of worship, if you are a small business owner, or are you an educator, if you do any of those three things, at least those three things, and you have a need to do presentations, this is something that you definitely want to take and put in your back pocket so that when you have an opportunity to do a presentation, you can be the best person in the room. You have that you're that person that when you're doing that presentation, you got on the best suit or I don't want to be chauvinist, but you're a young lady, you have that best business suit on. This is an opportunity to up your game in terms of presentation. And I'll tell you that as an old person, we still like to be impressed. That is kind of the way the world goes around. And Michael is offering us an opportunity to really, really make our presentations come alive by, can you imagine having, and I'm going to go there because this is Conversation with Tony Mobley. I'm doing a Bible study and I'm actually going through the scripture on screen, and you can see me here. I'm nice and big. You can see me as I'm talking. I have scripture on the side of me. And as I'm talking, I'm highlighting scripture. I'm drawing lines. I'm emphasizing, highlighting different areas of the passage of scripture. I'm bringing in a photograph of a first century church. And I'm talking about that first century church. And I'm doing all of these things and I'm wowing people. Now, you might say, oh, you just being flashy. You just being a show off. No, you only have one time to make a first good impression. And as a person of faith, and I'm going to say this, Michael, you don't have to say this, but I'm going to say this. As a person of faith, if I believe in something, I want it to be the best. I want to be the best in sharing what I believe. And so this is a tool that you can use in a house of worship. Educators, I'm giving you a shout out. This is a way in which you can enhance when you have to do virtual instruction. This is the tool. Or if you are presenting to other educators, how about having this tool in your back pocket? And before we go to the next questions, Michael, I want you to go ahead and share with us this special that you're running that's going to be available until this Sunday.
Sure, yeah, like I can show you that. I just like you just made me want to say though, I think the reason people don't do that is because they see someone, wow, someone just did that, and they say, oh, that's too hard for me. That's not for the likes of me doing that sort of flashy stuff. And they were probably right in the past that it was such a high barrier to entry. So I just tried to like bring it down to here so that you might still have to like climb up and sort of just get up there. But once you built the habit, then it's just going to be there and it's just going to be second nature and it's going to be so worth it. And so what I've got at the moment is I'm doing well. Basically, I'm calling this. It's CueCam.app/7 years because this month is the 7th year since I quit contracting and selling my time, and I'm still going. I'm making my own products. I'm sort of living the dream that I had of, not having to have a boss and not having to sort of like sit in tedious stakeholder meetings. So this is the code to get 37% off until Sunday. And something that if you are an educator that you should know is that there is also a massive discount because I really believe in QCAM being available to people who are teaching. And I know
Fantastic.
that yeah, and I've made a tool with like a reasonably premium price tag. Like it's not the most expensive thing out there, but I just know that maybe if can't get your institution to buy it for you, then I want to make it like not too painful for you to be able to like add it to your toolbox. So yeah, if you have an institutional like edu email or act.uk or whatever, then you can just register that on the website and it will give you a 70% discount just right there. So educators, I do huge discounts for already, but I'm also doing this 37% until Sunday. Hey, we've got a time limited deal. But yeah, but also all of the other stuff I made has also a lot of discounts this week as well. So Shoot, you'll see there's discounts in there and Video Pencil as well. But CueCam, you get all of those bundled in, but if you just wanted to try Video Pencil separately, then you can sort of do that too, and that's going to be the same, similar discounts. I think I've actually got 50% off the lifetime. So I'm trying to sort of like, it's my birthday today as well, by the way.
Happy
So that's why I
birthday
usually do
to
it. But I
you.
thought,
Happy birthday to you.
so
Happy
oh no,
birthday. Today's your birthday?
today's well,
June
yeah, it's
it's June
the
4th for
5th.
you, right?
It's the 4th. Yeah, it's June 4th. So it's just technically my birthday. So usually I do a birthday deal, but I thought, no, let's make it about the business instead. But yeah, so it just so yeah, I kind of
Well,
forgot
Michael,
in all of the
let me
talk.
tell you. I want to say happy birthday to you, but I also want you to
Thank you.
know today is my oldest son's birthday. Well, I mean June
Hey,
4th.
listen to
You
you.
are in the
Listen to that.
future. So
Yeah,
for
I
me
am in
it's
the
still a
future
third,
slightly.
but my son and you share the same birthday. How about that?
Well, imagine that. Imagine that. It happens. It happens. But yeah, so this is my sort of birthday offer and 7-year celebration. I'm still here. I'm still going. I haven't had to work for the man. So
All
yeah.
right. Well, you are the man now. You're the man.
I am a
Well,
man.
yes, 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 yes. So, did you talk about the unique rent to own pricing model?
I did not talk about the unique rent to own price. Sorry if this is a bit
So
infomercial, but
let me read the full question
yeah.
before you answer that
Yeah,
question. All right.
okay.
So the
Okay.
full question is: you have a unique rent to own pricing model. Why did you choose that over a straight subscription? And what does that say about how you see your relationship with your users?
Someone on office hours when asked about this described it as a bad business model, and I said no, it's a freaking ethical business model. It's a model where we don't try and sort of like overload everyone with subscription. I think I saw a company, a music software company do this, and I thought that's a nice balance. I get a sort of stable income for a while, but like it ends because it's nice to own things. And we are in such a sort of rental subscription overloaded society that I don't want to be. I don't want to be more of a part of that problem than I have to be to sort of pay my bills. And in a way, it's sort of a vote of confidence in myself that after a 3 or 4 years, I'll have six more products that you might want to buy anyway. So, it's sort of like I'm always moving forwards. And I just think it's only fair to not just try and hold you hostage forever. And the reason that it is even a subscription in the first place is because these things are premium tools. They're business tools, a lot of them. And so they do have high price tags. But I think someone that just needs to use it for a little bit, I wanted to give them that like 4.99 a month option to just try it and then unsubscribe and just sort of to be able to let people access the features without having to sort of like do a big lifetime purchase up front. So I have the rent to own, which I think is a good balance between sort of smaller regular payments where you can try it out and cancel, so you're not committed to a lifetime and then you never use it, but also just to have a cap on it and end to it so that like you don't just get held hostage forever. And I'm committed to like keeping this thing because a lot of companies do that and then they sort of withdraw support for it after a couple more years. Like Microsoft just did that with something, but I just don't think that's very respectful to your users. And if I can do it, why can't these huge companies? So I just think I just want to do the right
Absolutely,
thing, really.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. So thank you so much for number one, doing giving this option of rent to own is unique, and as you shared, it is a unique thing to do. And thank you so much for doing that. I'm just absolutely amazed that you have taken upon yourself to be able to give this tool away, um, because you can use it with the watermark. Is that's still correct?
Yeah. Yeah, you can try stuff out with the watermark. So that's the thing I learned about video software. I can just like sort of let all the features work, but just stick something over the top. So you can try it out if it's low pressure, but if you want to look professional, then you sort of get rid of the watermark, and
Okay,
that's
so
when you pay.
Michael, well,
But yeah,
we're getting near the end. So what I need you to do is to show, not tell, show us a demo of something with CueCam that's going to blow the people's minds who are watching, and so that I know that I'm putting you on the spot. We did not talk about this ahead of time, and so please show us something that's going to wow people and up your subscription and your rent to own opportunities.
You see,
And I'm
all
going to
my
ask for forgiveness, and we'll talk about it after the show. You can get me after the show.
I'm sort of like looking in my recent files menu to see if I've got anything snazzy. And the trouble is, they're all CueCam presentations, so it's sort of like confusing the form with the function. But I did a little. Here's if you sort of see the screen share, maybe like this is my script for a video I just did yesterday, where I was like 15 home studio ideas you can steal, and I just like took a load of different little video clips to give you like 15 things. So this is my studio, so I can just like come into here, press play, and then just make sure my teleprompter window's open and say, like, I make a lot of videos from my rented office and I'm always having to come up with new ways to save space, keep things tidy, functional, and reliable. I'll show you the first one. Here's me lifting up my standing desk. This is not electric. This is what I'm standing at. Here's the one that I'm using. Is this laptop? This wasn't too much. Here's a view of my basket under my desk. Here's something that you can try. Here's how I plug in the desk to the stuff. So if you want a tip on that, we've got here's how my camera is set up. I can show you that. So all of this I'm doing just running through a CueCam script. I can see what I need to say about it. This has got the desk stand clamped on. So here you
And
can see
folks,
my
he's
camera.
writing on the camera live. He's writing on the camera live.
And so I can even sort of like scan back through that if I were to go to the second camera. And so I'm able to sort of show you. I'm able to run through the presentation. So this is sort of the presentation stuff. This is my how I have my hub. Um, but really, probably something that maybe is a little bit more jazzy is just being able to say thank you and just add that into my feed with oh no, is it? I need to go on to is to say thank you like that and say like this.
All right now. All right
Okay, there you
now.
go. That is video pencil.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Okay. So we're down to the last couple of questions. Unless we have a last minute producer throw in a question. What's next for Michael Forrest and CueCam presenter, shoot, and video pencil?
Oh, there's so much like all this infrastructure work I've been doing. I've just been I just the ideas are just flowing now. All the possibilities are so much. So I'm working hard on QCam 4.0, which is I'm just trying to make things a lot because at the moment you build your presentation and then you run the presentation and maybe you don't know what's going on the camera. I'm just kind of making it a lot more kind of just one thing. So I think that's going to make it a lot more approachable. But in the process, also like the stuff like the way that the text editing and stuff works, making all that stuff much nicer, making the user interface really neat. And I've got some and just something I'm really excited about is there's instead of the share bar, there's just a search field at the top. And so you click on that, you can see, okay, share my screen, share a blank board, but you can also type and just bring in anything off your computer or any cards from QCam decks, just immediately like share something. So I'm really excited about the developments for QCam. Also the ability to use QCam without like offline so that it doesn't have to be running while so if it you don't even have to remember to fire it up for your calls. It will just kind of like be running in the background and you can just use it in Zoom without QCam running. Um, but a lot of cool stuff is coming to Video Pencil. So I think a lot of people don't have the Mac. but a lot of coaches and people like that that want to use the iPad in a teaching situation, a lot of sports coaching, but kind of want a bit more presentation functionality. I'm starting to bring some of that functionality into Video Pencil, so you can sort of like run through PDF, and actually it's running CueCam decks, so you'll be able to like start something on your iPad and then finish it on your Mac. Um, Shoot Studio is something that I kind of started as a germ of an idea of like probably 3 or 4 years ago now. And finally, with Real Time Swift, this engine that I built for QCam, I've got that running on the phone now, so that now I can start to do some of the stuff that I do in QCam on the Mac just inside the phone. So now Windows users can just kind of get some of the power of what I've been working on without without even needing a Mac to do things, or if you're just using HDMI to different systems. So like I'm drowning. I've got a
I
million
think
things I'm working
we
on.
need to back up for just a quick minute. You just slipped in
Yeah.
something. You said something about Windows.
Something about just Windows users that like Shoot because it has a web browser remote control interface, so they can sort of like plug it into their computer, however, and like be able to kind of control the zoom and the focus and things like that from their desktop. Obviously, with QCam, you can just do that from QCam. But so this has always been sort of the way for Windows users to access it, along with NDI. But oh yeah, the other thing. So Shoot as well. I'm looking at a Zoom plugin, so that a Zoom app, so that you can just use Shoot directly in Zoom on Mac or PC without sort of anything else. I've got a Video Pencil app coming that's just for Zoom, and that will work on Windows as well. So I'm sort of really like now that I'm sort of out of this, out of away from the the coal face of just getting the underlying technology working, some really, really fun stuff that I'm working on that will just sort of like really unlock a lot more potential in all this stuff,
Wow.
and keep me entertained.
Amazing. 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 Thank you, Michael, so much. Our very last question is, you're speaking to the world. What do you want the world to know? And you do speak to the
This
world,
question.
because
I do try to. Yes.
you have people from all over the world that are checking in with you to use QCam. So what do you want to say?
The world. What I want to say is 37% off till Sunday. Like you always get me feeling philosophical with that question. So I'm going to say that hope is possible. You just have to
Absolutely.
find the people that are pushing hope instead of fear. That's my philosophical answer.
Wow. Thank you so much, Michael Forrest, for being here with me today. This has been a great conversation, and I hope those people who are watching and will watch this YouTube and website conversation will glean as much as I have today. You can watch Conversation with Tony Mobley on YouTube or my website, conversationwithtonymobley.com. Conversation with Tony Mobley is produced by Clarlock Lopez Waterman. Our current team is Laura Thompson, Zachary Sorensen, Mickey McAture. We want to say thank you, sir. Thank you, team. Thank you, Mimo Live and Zoom, for making this broadcast possible. We have conversations with real people. Stay tuned for new episodes and great conversations with Tony Mobley. When you have time, please go back and take a look at some of those wonderful conversations that we have. I think you might find something that is helpful and hopefully beneficial to you. Thank you, Michael Forrest, for being part of our conversation today, for doing the work you do, for staying up late tonight on your birthday.
On my
Thank you so
birthday.
much, Michael Forrest.
Thank you so
Um,
much, Tony, again.
Next week, we're going to have Dr. Peter Smith. And you say, well, Dr. Peter Smith, who is that? Well, I'm just going to give you just a few highlights of who he is. He is a prominent higher education administrator, a former U.S. congressman. He has served as the founding president of California State University, Monterey Bay. He has worked for the UN. He has been the lieutenant governor of Vermont. Please tune in next week to have a conversation with Dr. Peter Smith. I'm overwhelmed with this conversation that we've had today, and it has been a fantastic 6 past weeks of amazing conversations on Conversation with Tony Mobley. Please feel free to donate your time, your talent, or your financial gift. We are committed to getting better, and your support makes this possible. We'll also love to have you join our growing community by liking, subscribing, and commenting on YouTube so that we can keep bringing you more meaningful conversations. Here at Conversations with Tony Mobley, we believe that when people sit down and truly talk, something powerful happens. So consider having a conversation today. It just might change everything. Good night. God bless you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Again, and yeah, like I'm sure I'll